So what I'd like to do is I'd like to welcome up on stage. I'll introduce them first. The music will play, and then so our moderator is Ondrej. Is Ondrej here? There he is. There's Ondrej. So there's over here. There you go. Do you want to introduce them, or there are chairs? Okay. So Ondrej is a partner at Credo Ventures. Do you want to introduce your fellow people, or should I do that for you? Okay, I'll let them on stage. So I'll read out their names first. So we have Maciek from Poland, who's going to be here. We have Kirill, we have Svetoslav, Philipp, and we have Rafal as well. So welcome up on stage. There are chairs now that are here, and very much look forward to this panel. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, guys. Good guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Hey, good to meet you. Well. Cheers.
Hi guys, welcome, happy to be here, good afternoon. What I'd like to do on behalf of the panel is promise that we'll try to be at least a bit feminine to give the balance that women are not present. What I feel we should do at the very beginning is to run a round of introductions by the fellow panelists. So to start with me, my name is Ondrej Bartos. I run a VC firm based out of Prague, which is called Credo Ventures. Currently with 60 million euros under management, investing out of our second fund. Having our first Bulgarian investment this year, which has not been yet announced, but we've done it as a co-investment alongside Launch Hub, and I'm excited to be here. Rafal.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Rafal Plutecki, and I am head of Campus Warsaw. We are the initiative of Google for Entrepreneurs, and our mission is to connect the startup communities to empower the future generation of entrepreneurs and startups and help them network, educate, and globalize. So we have launched 4 months ago in Warsaw, but our mission is regional. We are hoping to connect the various startup ecosystems and communities across all the Central and Eastern Europe, including Sofia. Thank you.
My name is, wow, I have a very loud microphone. My name is Maciek. I'm also from Warsaw, and my mission is also regional, although the foundation I represent, which is called Startup Hub Poland, invest in Polish companies, control one seed fund, R&D, heavy projects are in our interest mainly, but also ICT projects. We invest not more than 5 million euro a year. We also have accelerator in Warsaw called Startup Hub Warsaw, surprise, surprise. And our idea is to start new endeavors which are already global, which are already international at least, like be statewide or two-country located startups like Romania and Poland, Czech and Bulgaria and so on.
Hi, my name is Svetoslav Stefanov. First of all, thank you very much for being here. I know it's kind of lunchtime, so probably we are between you and your lunch, which is a very dangerous position, so thank you very much for being with us here. So my name is Svetoslav Stefanov. As I said, I'm investment manager with 3TS Capital Partners, which is a growth equity investment fund, investing in the broader technology, media, and telecom industries across Europe. We have about 300 million assets under management, currently investing the fourth fund of the company, which is a 108 million vehicle. Sweet spot of investment is, for example, a company which already does a couple of million net revenues and is ready for the growth expansion track. In such opportunities, we usually invest between 2 and 10 million, with exceptions on both sides of the range, as it comes sometimes. So thank you again for being here. I'm passing to our next panelist.
Yes, hello, I'm Philipp. I'm representing 7 Ventures and ProSiebenSat.1 Media Group from Germany. We are one of the biggest media corporates in Europe, and we just leading one of the biggest digital transformations we've seen so far in the media space. We bought and invested in around about 100 digital companies all over the world, and we spent more than 500 million euros for that, and also allocated more than $1 billion worth of media on those companies to really make them work and help them transforming our company into a digital powerhouse. And I think I'm here today because I think there are plenty of big opportunities also in CEE. And I think, as Early Bird just pointed out, it is just an amazing investment opportunity right now here in those regions.
Hi everyone, my name is Kirill Cehoval. I'm the Regional Investment Director for Intel Capital, which is the VC arm of Intel. I'm based in Moscow, but I cover Central Eastern Europe as well. We have about 25 companies in the portfolio in this region. We are quite active, looking forward to invest more. We invest between 300 and 500 million globally. And a significant portion of that is in the region, so look forward to continuing that.
Okay, thanks for that. Now we're introduced. To start with a first round of questions, I'll start actually with Kirill. So earlier this year, there's been an announcement that Intel Capital, one of the most active venture investors in the world, sold a part of their portfolio. And there are, I think, still questions around what's going to be next. What's the future strategy for Intel Capital? And if we can translate this to the CEE region, that would be great.
All right. Good first question. Actually, it's not factually correct, so we didn't sell anything at this point. We're exiting companies in our regular course of business, but I guess you're referring to some of the media speculations and rumors out there, and I think this is a situation where kind of anything I say will be used against me in the court of law, so I'm not going to elaborate too much. I think there's definitely a certain trend within Intel Capital to focus more on strategically relevant companies to the main business of Intel. So we are, and this has been a trend kind of over the past 2 years, so we try to invest in companies that have significant collaboration opportunities, both on the technology and on the commercial side. And this has been kind of the shift in the strategy over the past few years. And I think these speculations is a reflection of that, but there's really nothing beyond that I can say. But obviously, this region is one of the top priorities. It's very rich on engineering talent. This is something that everybody keeps repeating, but this is the most important part. And we're going to continue to exploit this, and especially in many of the new technology trends that Intel is strategically invested in, such as Internet of Things and big data and wearables and security. And there are plenty of companies here that are doing that and that are showing very interesting prospects.
Cool. Thanks. Sorry for the question.
No worries.
Philipp, so 7 Ventures. Based in Germany, I think most of your investment activity so far has been, in German-speaking countries. So, what really brought you down here to Sofia, to Webit? How serious is the interest in Central and Eastern Europe?
I would say it's a fair question. Like, of course, our reach is mainly in German-speaking countries, but we also allied with a couple of other big media houses in order to get more reach internationally. And right now, a big percentage of our investments is already in the States now. We are continuously growing and starting to invest in Spain, France. And of course, we see there that the markets are very developed, very mature. There's strong competition on good assets. And we also have, with partnerships with SBS, MTG and other players, we actually also increase our reach here in the region. So of course we are looking how can we kind of make use of our reach here, how can we find good assets that we can help. I just want to point out I think a very interesting asset from Bulgaria. It's Bus Express. It's just like a perfect copy of Flixbus, which is super overpriced if you look in the market in Germany. and pretty much the same product, maybe even smarter because much more people use the bus here. And you could actually see this at a reasonable price tag, I would say. So I think there are incredible opportunities. I just mentioned one, and if I looked at a bigger, like a long list, I would find hundreds of those.
Fair enough, thanks. Svetoslav, so 3TS is one of the oldest regional firms. I actually remember the birth of 3TS back in '99 or whatever it was.
So
well,
old?
2000,
Really?
Yeah. You have a very good position to actually compare the markets that you see. So which market is currently the hottest? Where do you see the most potential? You have offices in Prague, Warsaw.
Correct. There are offices in 6 countries. So it's Warsaw, Prague, Budapest, Vienna, Bucharest, and in Istanbul as well. And what we see is, well, as always, the best answer is it depends, right? Yeah. So it depends what kind of opportunity you're looking at, because what we see in this region, and this is also something that we have mastered, is the timing of the different cycles. So I sometimes call it, timing arbitrage. Because what we see in some parts of the region, for example, like Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, so the business models which have been successful in these markets, with the lack of a couple of years, they then become successful in, let's say, countries from the more southeastern part of Europe. So the advantage of having this regional view is to spot the winners in the, let's say, first mover markets and the successful business models, and then try to find the successors in the markets which are a couple of years lagging behind the leading markets. And to be in this position is actually very comfortable, because once you hit the first part right, then you have the cooking recipe how to do the second part as well. So you have like the team, you have the contacts, you have the connections, you know what's working, what's not working. Obviously, you have to adapt it to the new geography and the new region, but it makes it a bit easier than just like shooting first at these markets and trying to win it. So back to the question, which market is more attractive? Again, it depends on which opportunities you're looking at.
I won't get an answer, yeah, I know. Maciek, Rafal, we have 2 polls in the panel, which should be indicative of something. I believe Google Campus Warsaw was only the 2nd one in Europe to London, right? And Madrid. Oh, Madrid. Okay, so the 3rd one. But anyway, Startup Hub Poland aims to the whole region. So tell us about Poland. Is there an aim to become the leader for the region as a whole, or?
Of course, a comfortable answer for this question for me, the answer that could make Polish startups and investors proud is yes, but honestly speaking, and it's not a compliment towards other countries in the region, I think that the region itself is a leader. I mean, considering our efforts to create some value and make decent investment evaluations over high-tech startups only through glasses of Polish market or Czech market or Hungarian market, which are beautiful and of course worthy to explore, it's not enough. We need to attract outsiders like US investors, Swiss investors, or Chinese investors, or from Arabic states, presenting ourselves as a region. And actually that was like the fundament of my organization. We was thinking that it's a great opportunity having, European Union framework and moving from one city to another, finding a network and investors all over the region, and make use of the assets that are available in different places. I will give you maybe one powerful example and pass to Rafał. There is a project that I found, I think in Kiev. It was a Romanian cloud computing and cyber defense project called CyberFog. And they even they approached me, so I was like a passive colleague of those guys. They said, hey, we find attractive Wrocław, one of the cities in Western Poland. We want specifically to go there and to make R&D center over there, but also work from Romania, from Bucharest. We understand that the combination of these two markets give us the best exposure to investors not only from Poland or from Romania, but also from outside of or from other regions. And they actually successfully rise the first round. They are growing up. They have first traction. And also, what I want to say from my position is that I'm as far as the bank account of my fund is concerned, I'm far smaller player than you, and I think it gives me also a very cool perspective of a very early stage project, the projects that are even pre-startup or really early seed round. These guys badly need Central Eastern European recognition. Of course, they will have Ukraine in their passport, on Romania or Poland, these kind of names, but still, when we are talking together inside of our community, we should definitely use only this frame. This is powerful, and this brings, I think, value. And I hope that when I pass to Rafał, he will heavily support this claim.
Yes, hi. Because we have venture capital firms here on our panel, our first observation is that seed and early stage venture capital in CEE region is very difficult. And still, there hasn't been a small VC fund, a micro VC fund, that have been on a repeated basis very successful with their portfolios. So most of the successful VCs, they actually go to the more advanced stages, and they can be very successful over there. So what needs to be done is to create a very strong ecosystem to support this seed and very early stage startups and VC funds with the support and the network. And this is the mission of Google for Entrepreneurs and Campus Warsaw. We believe that you mentioned the word hub. We believe that Silicon Valley used to be a hub and still is a hub, but actually a ecosystem to support entrepreneurs can be a social network. It doesn't have to be a physical place. So we would love to create the right connections between the various capitals of Central and Eastern Europe, and we would like to connect the region to the outside world, to the investors, mentors, clients, to make first of all the entrepreneurs very successful, and also the VCs that are in the most the toughest, most difficult stage, the seed and very early stage, more successful. So there is one very interesting number which I really like, and I give to conferences. And actually, this is invented with a friend of mine from Intel Capital, Marcin Hejka. We have calculated how many engineering graduates are in the region of Central and Eastern Europe, and we compared this number to the United States. And actually, we have more engineering graduates each year than the United States. So what do you need to do as a first step to have a successful technology startup? You have to have engineers, you have to have technology. So we have that. So the first step is done. And now the next step is actually to help them build businesses, build global businesses, as technology has no barriers.
Okay, to build on Rafal, so us Central Europeans very often, and we've heard it in the panel as well, refer to the region as very talented, with a broad pool of highly skilled engineers and so forth. We now, I believe, have the most early stage capital ever. We have Google campuses, we have Google for Entrepreneurs, we have all those accelerators. So, we should soon see some major successes. Or is there anything needed? Is there anything missing from the ecosystem and from the mindsets of people? Very often we hear also people saying that that there's this culture of fearing failure, to build on what Evan said in his in his presentation. So what do you think is lacking in the region? And what can be done?
So, absolutely right, Ondrej and Rafal. I can second on that. That the ecosystem currently has been doing actually great work, and congratulations to everybody from the entrepreneurs to early
We
stage
have the
investors.
conferences, Webits.
Exactly. So, but it's not only in theory, but we are also seeing the fruits of all this. So, the companies which go through these stages are trickling down to also growth equity companies. So actually we are seeing now one of the best deal flows ever, and with very high quality companies, and also in terms of numbers, also large numbers of these from which we can select. So yes, it bears fruit, all these efforts, definitely. Back to the question of what's missing, I would point out probably two components. One is, as you said, like fear of failure. Partially, I think, it's also rooted down to legislation, in a sense. In some jurisdictions, for example, if you have been a director of a company which went bankrupt, so you can't take a directorship position for several years after that. In a sense where if you want to be a serial entrepreneur, this is kind of like a prohibition ticket from the next try. And on the other side, what we have been seeing also is, yes, great engineering talent. When it comes to business development and like the right salespeople, this is, I think, what's really missing. So people who can bring the company from here to here. So these people are worth their weight in gold.
Any other comments?
Okay, maybe I just take it in between because I'm the real only outsider.
Yeah.
So the outside-in perspective might be quite interesting here. First of all, I must say the region itself, what it has is incredible. Like we have $1.5 trillion GDP and 100 million people, and we have possibly the most skilled people on the planet right now here. And it's very compelling, but it's funny enough that very often really, really highly skilled products that came from here are not recognized as being from here, such as insulin, for example. No insulin without this Romanian scientist who actually discovered it, or Skype. Sandstream maybe founded the company, but it was developed in Estonia. And I think
Contact lenses.
Yes, contact lenses, perfect example. Parachutes also. And let's see, the last one I know is like, take any antivirus software that actually works is somehow from here. So in the end of the day, a lot of things come from here that are perfect and are just not recognized as being from here. And I think the reason for that is that people still think very local. We have some language barriers. We have banks that are reluctant to lend money on the right stages. We have underfunding for sure, because I highly appreciate what the big funds from the US and the UK are doing. They're coming here, scouting for talent, but in the end of the day, taking the companies over to like real capital markets that are fully developed. Just have a look at the market cap of the CEE countries. Compare the market cap of all countries, of the whole country to the GDP. You will find here around 20 to 30%, and in a developed capital market, it's 60 to 70%. Of course, you want to do your IPO somewhere else. You want to relocate. And even though you have a fantastic tax scheme here, like 10, 20% max, in the mature markets, it's 30%. So there's a lot of reasons why you should actually outperform, but still there are some limitations, and I would say most of it is thinking small instead of thinking big that might inhibit that.
Thank you. Kirill?
Yeah, I would just add, the one thing that this region has in common is the Soviet past. For better or for worse, probably for worse.
Thank you
mostly,
for that.
Mostly for worse, but basically the good part about it is that this is what generated the talent, right? Because the technical education was very strong, and people, were able to build on that, and we see, partially the result of that now. But all the rest of the stuff was really bad, right? So we didn't have the business culture. There was no communications culture. There's really nothing that you would want to have in a successful startup, in a successful company. So I think we're definitely getting there, and people are with the globalization, people are moving around more often. They're getting education elsewhere, but it's an evolution. It's not a revolution. I think eventually, another 5 to 10 years, we'll have the perfect mix of business and engineering, which is required for these companies to excel. Because I think now, many of the companies we look at, they have the technology, they have brilliant people, but they're unable to organize themselves, they're unable to promote or market their product, which is a very important and essential element.
Thank you. Maciek?
I cannot agree more with my colleagues when they compliment the market, saying that we have very good engineers and the number of engineers is adequate to American ecosystem. Everything is true. But the only thing that is missing, in my opinion, is the soft power of the region. I'm sorry for boring you with the same song in both answers, but look, Spider-Man does not speak Bulgarian, or Pamela Anderson and Baywatch is not from Poland. Startuppers in Poland, they badly, or startuppers, or let's say wannabe entrepreneurs after graduation, they badly want to go to Silicon Valley because there is a fashion, not only money and opportunities, prospects. So we need to create a legend of this region, and we need to use our own assets. We have excellent stars like Cristiano Ronaldo players in our markets, but they will be acquired by the American market. I'm sorry for pointing American market as this evil market, of course not. We are benefiting with cooperation with them. But what I want to say is that, for example, we want to present Warsaw, my hometown, as a place that is also cool. So, for example, in our incubator or accelerator called Startup Hub Warsaw, we don't say, guys, come here because there is a good price, because there are seed investments waiting for you, because you will have new network. We are more advertising the city with its cool attitudes. Like, you might find sex appeal in coming to Central Eastern Europe and developing your project from here. And very often, I need to ask my more experienced colleagues from the stage and from the audience. It's like an open question, maybe not for discussion, but think about this, please. Would you agree with me that lots of projects that are going to US, they are selling their, shares for the price that looks unbelievably good, like $2 million? And colleagues from America are laughing because they are saying that they sold something, 10x to less.
Right. Thanks for that. I believe we have time for one question to the panel. If you guys have a question, I'm sorry, there's not more space. You have a question? Should I?
Hello, guys. I would like to ask you, what are the downsides of being a venture capitalist, and what actions have you taken in order to lower them or deteriorate the risks you face in the future?
Okay, what are the downsides of being a VC? I mean, there are none. It's a great job. It's a dream job. I love it. Go. Svetoslav?
Very briefly, downside is you invest in whatever, like 10, 15, 20 companies, and all of them go bust. So that's the downside. Then you go back to raise a new fund, so nobody wants to invest in you. And then the lights go down. And here, I just want to point out something. We've been talking how amazing the current environment is to invest. However, it depends from which side we see that. And here the message is, to entrepreneurs and companies, winter is coming. And I'm not on the wrong continent, I know spring is coming here, but in terms of funding, what we have been seeing in the US is that funding has stalled. And, people do only the utmost necessary things. And this is coming here as well. So it's not that bad in Europe because of more reasonable expectations of entrepreneurs and less pressure for investors to deploy huge amount of capital, which was not so present in Europe as in the US. So in Europe, the funding has not stopped. However, valuations are coming down to more reasonable levels, and this is also related to the downside. So this is how we also protect the downside, to have reasonable entry valuations which are tied to company fundamentals and not like, you know, as Maciek said, like obscene valuation round. So what we are seeing now, and here, not to be vague, but like we are seeing market is gravitating back to the normal, which is, you know, investing in high growth companies at 2-3 times gross profit. These are realistic valuation levels, yeah?
Right. Any more downsides of being a VC?
I would just kind of go on your position because it's plain true, and we saw some really hard vintages now in the last 2 or 3 years to beat. You went in at valuations that were crazy, and now that the market is cooling down, we don't see those big exits. So we actually have to make use of the protective mechanisms that are inherent to venture capital, which is those evil words of liquidation preference, of Regits and whatever. Those things will apply in the next years in the exit schemes that will come. And then I think we will see also the not so nice sides of venture capital because the protective levels are typically quite high.
Okay, Kirill, anything to add?
Well, there's only 2 downsides. It's investing in the wrong companies and not investing in the right ones. I think that's...
And the bigger one is not investing in the right ones,
yes,
right?
because then you cry when it becomes a unicorn, right?
Maciek?
I have just a half of the sentence because we're running out of time. I would say it's a psychological remark, and my experience is to saying no to very good companies. We are doing it constantly. We are saying no to good companies because the number of slots is limited, and you have to face it that you have a brilliant opportunity, but you are saying no.
Right.
One brief one. So let's talk also about money. So what's the downside? The venture capitalists also lose their own money. Because if you don't know, so part of the capital in every fund is the GP commitment, the general partner commitment, which is the money contributed by the partners who are managing the fund. So yes, you lose your money as well.
Rafal, do you have one last remark? Probably a tip to startups.
No, just do it. Don't overthink. But one thing in terms of what the region needs, time. We are really running in the right direction. We just need time. The average time to build a company is 7 years before they reach any kind of attractive valuation. So we just need time.
Okay, guys. So in the US, there has been a slowdown in investing activity, which I actually would see as an opportunity for Central and Eastern Europe. There's a lot of capital available for startups, even for the early stage. And what's needed, just be ambitious, go do it, don't fear failure. This has been a CEE Investing Opportunities panel. Thank you. Thanks, guys. See you around.